I don't want to hear any negative feedback. Well, why? Well, because it feels dangerous to me. Well, why does it feel dangerous to me? Oh, because I was beat up a lot, blah, 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 all this trauma, right? Like,
Yeah.
so that's me. That's all me. That's a me thing. But it does create this feedback loop, and it does aid in neuroplasticity or changing the mindset. The more I put myself out there authentically and the more feedback, positive feedback I get from it, the more it reinforces that this behavior is safe. After 50 years of walking this earth, I can finally just express myself.
How does that feel?
It feels like, oh, like a burden's being lifted. Like we can go to a somatic experience. I'm feeling warmth in my...
Kind of like you're just letting out a big fart, right?
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah. It's a big release in my lower chakra.
Welcome back to the Artful Dollar. It's me, Ryan Roy, tattoo artist, spiritual seeker, financial coach, advisor, and just student of life, here to learn about money and energy and trauma and weird stuff that people don't like talking about. If you tell me not to talk about it, that's what I'm going to talk about. So hopefully that's what you want to hear about. And today we have someone who I've known for, I guess, at least a year, I feel like. Tattooer, I'm going to just go ahead and call you a trauma coach, because that's what you are.
Yep.
And he is someone that has also gone through my Artful Dollar program. And so we might talk a little bit about that. But we're here today to talk about trauma and tattooing with the one and only James Kerr. Thanks, James.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm super, super pumped to be here.
Yeah, dude.
Awesome.
We also, just forewarning for anyone, there may be a fart joke or two
Yeah.
in this podcast, because I feel like every time I either get together or chat with James, they slip out. You know,
Yeah,
just
totally.
a sneaky one just squeaks out. So
You don't want to force it though, especially at my age. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, that could be
know-
dangerous.
In the ayahuasca community, we have a saying, which is never trust a fart.
Yeah.
Never. And sometimes you get brave, and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
You're like, I
trust
got
and-
this.
Don't. Nope. Go.
No.
Gotta get up. Gotta go.
Yeah, I like that. That's the pucker walk.
Yeah. So I think also when we're talking about heavy topics like money and trauma and just all this stuff, like, you gotta fucking laugh at yourself. You gotta have a sense of humor. I'm a huge fan of Ram Dass. I don't know if you've gotten into Ram Dass.
I love Ram Dass, dude. One
of the best things about him as a spiritual teacher is that he had such a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
And we don't need to add more heaviness onto an already heavy topic.
No.
And shining that light, I'm sure you've gotten into Brene Brown.
Oh yeah.
You know, she says, like, when you shine the light on it, it doesn't have power over you anymore. It weakens it. But all this stuff is related to art, related to money, related to business, but no one's talking about it. And so we've been talking about it. And
and now we're doing it.
Now we're talking about
it. Yeah.
Maybe just first tell people a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into tattooing? How long you been tattooing? What do you want people to know about you?
I cuss a lot. My nephew calls me Uncle Cussy. He's only 10 and like,
Uncle Cussy.
so just forewarned.
Good.
That's something I want people to know about me. But I've been tattooing about 20 years now, and I grew up on a Native American reservation here in Northern California called Hoopa, and like I've been drawing all my life. And like I think growing up too, my friends there that I grew up with were like, you should tattoo, blah blah blah. And so it kind of was like followed me throughout my life. So I got into it finally, like by the time I was like 29. I was a scratcher for like 7 years before I even got my apprenticeship. And it turns out once I got my apprenticeship, I learned that the reason why I didn't get my apprenticeship sooner was because I was a scratcher. They're like, oh yeah, no, you got a lot of bad habits. We don't want to have to like unlearn you in order to teach you how to do it right.
On top of teaching you how to tattoo, now we also have to teach you how to not tattoo.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's already such a big undertaking to teach someone. Right. I always wondered about that. Like, would I turn someone down as an apprentice that showed promise if they had tattooed before? Personally, I don't know. Maybe I'm up for the challenge, but I 100% understand why people are not interested in doing that.
I think you're a teacher too, though, like at heart, right? Like you're a student at heart, and so it would be a challenge. And it would have to be the right person. I mean, I think that's a good question. I don't think it's for everyone, you know.
Right.
I don't know if I would do it, but I would, having had that experience myself as being a student that had to unlearn a lot of things. Basically, I'm lucky because I'm a really good student. You know, I've always been really good. It's part of like, I guess my trauma response growing up is one of the things that
Even in like back in grade school?
Yeah, I was a straight A student.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's a surprise.
Honor roll, principal. Yeah, yeah. Can you imagine? That was all before the drugs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, before puberty. Yeah.
But even the drugs, you probably studied them really well.
Oh, I was very good at them. Yeah. Very.
A lot of
very
research.
Good. Yeah, totally. Oh yeah, a lot of experimentation. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of peer review. You know, what do you think of this?
So you're 29. Were drugs still in the picture when you started tattooing?
No, not the hard drugs. I was still smoking pot and drinking, but
Okay.
I wasn't doing the methamphetamines. I had actually quit methamphetamines by the time I was like 23, but I started that shit early because that was like, it was basically, you know, I was abused by my dad real bad, and then bullied a lot growing up. And then, like, by the time the abuse at home stopped, my mom put a stop to it when I was 12, 13 years old. And by the time that happened, I basically started using methamphetamines when I was 14. So it was kind of like I carried over this cycle of abuse, and it led me right into, like, hardcore drug use, like, super young. And then by the time I was 19, I ended up in the mental hospital from overdosing from methamphetamines and that kind of stuff. Did a lot of hallucinogenics too, and kind of mixed them and shit. It wasn't the healthiest way to respond to that traumatic stuff, but I think it was kind of the safest place to land from like a trauma informed perspective.
I mean, in AA and 12-step, you know, they say they were our coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And they worked for a period of time. Like, they did actually help us cope with whatever trauma or stuff that we were struggling to cope with.
Right.
Until they no longer worked. And then what ends up happening is we end up using the thing that was the solution that actually, to some degree, helped, although it's probably not the healthiest solution, but it did help. We use it far past the date at which it's actually helping, and then it's only hurting.
Absolutely.
And I can look back on my drug and alcohol use, and I've been sober now 11 years, but that was definitely the case as I was using it. I worked at a shop, and I was described as like, they were nice guys, like, don't get me wrong, but whiskey and cocaine were the glue that allowed that shop to survive. Like, we probably would have all just killed each other if it wasn't for whiskey and cocaine, and we probably came close to killing each other because of it.
Yeah. But, and anytime you run out of cocaine, you're like, motherfucker.
There was this guy at the shop who, like, we'd get a bag of Coke, and then at some point in the night, he would get up on his, like, pedestal and just talk down to us about how shitty we were. He was kind of like the head of the shop, and he would just, like, talk down to, and you're just like, oh shit, he's preaching again. and you just kind of have to sit there quietly and, like, it was the weirdest fucking thing. I'm like, why are we doing this? This fucking sucks.
He literally had a pedestal.
I remember him getting up on, like, a stool and talking down to us. He also wasn't that tall, but
okay, fair enough, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I think the medicine that I got from that was it made me feel like a king, you know, in a place where, and this is how I taught my kid, because I was pretty open about it with my son, because I know part of the reason why I used all that shit was curiosity. So in order to, like, my son's 24 now, but in order to kind of, like, quell some of his curiosity, I told him all the good shit about it and all the bad shit about it. And the good shit about it for me was, like, I hated myself. I was taught to hate myself growing up inadvertently by the religion I was indoctrinated with, by the way I was treated by my parents, and by the way I was treated by some of my peers. Not all, but a few peers in school. I really internalized all that. So I was taught to hate myself, where all these kind of limiting beliefs that you talk about in the Artful Dollar course come from. The methamphetamine made me feel like a king, and that was medicine. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm worthy. You know what I mean? I'm more than worthy. I'm the shit. Right. So,
and if you are coming up from a place where you're not allowed to feel that way, or never given any of that, oh yeah, I could see how that. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
you gravitate right to it.
Right, and it gave me that kind of courage to not play small. It gave me that kind of, like, fake courage to, like, feel good about myself, that I didn't feel in danger. And that's what trauma is. It's like, it's not what happens to us. It's what happens to our nervous systems, our brain, and our mindset included as a result of what happens to us.
So
and we carry that throughout our whole lives.
Let's dive down that, because you've been taking a lot of courses and classes and educating yourself. School me on what is trauma. What happens?
Well, trauma is basically your nervous system adapting to the situation to survive. For example, I'll use myself as an example. When I was being abused by my father, it taught me, so anytime that I asserted myself and would tell him to stop, or someone would come in and try, like my mom would try to make him stop, it got worse. And so in order to adapt to that, to survive, I ended up just shrinking down and kind of disassociating, right? And that disassociating can become an adaptation. So you end up kind of like, it becomes a personality trait over time.
Right. There's a mental aspect, there's a physical aspect, and then there's a nervous system aspect. And they're all it's all one system ultimately.
Right. So basically what ends up happening is your nervous system gets what's called faulty neuroception. So neuroception is your nervous system is unconsciously, it's always scanning the environment and people around it for safety or danger. That's the two things that we're looking for. Are we safe?
Do all animals do that?
Mammals. All mammals do
all
it. Reptiles do that too. That's when you hear about, like, whenever we're having a panic attack, our executive functioning turns off and our lizard brain turns on, and it's like, oh, fight or flight, you know.
But jellyfish don't do that. They don't even have a brain.
Not really. No. I'm not exactly sure. Oh man, my mom would have said, "Oh, it's been a long time since I've been a jellyfish, so I don't know." But
I like that.
But yeah, so basically faulty neuroception based on what happened to us in our childhood, and it's the way our nervous system is wired, is that we end up feeling safe when we're in danger, or the other way around, we feel in danger when we're safe. So that
we feel danger when we're safe, or we feel safe when we're in danger.
Yes.
Got it.
So that can manifest in a lot of what we call mental illnesses now. Like for me, PTSD, generalized anxiety disorder. So I'm always feeling in danger even though I'm safe. That's what anxiety is.
Yeah.
And ADHD is another one. One of my heroes is, oh God, I hate trying to figure out names.
Is it Gabor?
Yep, Gabor Mate. Thank you.
Yeah,
he would even say that because of all of the chemicals that, like, whenever you're having a panic attack, your body gets saturated with cortisol and adrenaline, and that can, like, fuck up your immune system, and that can lead to, like, inflammatory diseases as well, and that kind of stuff too, or immunodeficient diseases as well.
I don't know how much you've gotten into Joe Dispenza. I'm a big Joe Dispenza fan.
Yeah,
but
I love him.
He also talks from a very different perspective and all about how our bodies kind of get addicted to these chemicals that we produce when we're in certain emotional states.
Oh, yeah.
So if we are living in a depressed or anxious emotional state and your body's producing certain hormones and chemicals, then your body gets addicted to those chemicals so that when you're actually feeling good, that feels like something's wrong.
Absolutely. And that happens on a nervous system level too. So being in a state of feeling good isn't trustworthy in the manifestation of that nervous system state. There's something called polyvagal theory too, which explains it from that lens, but I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, absolutely. So you start not trusting trust. Or you, like, whenever things are going good, you're like, okay, when's the fucking other shoe going to drop?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then you end up kind of self-sabotaging.
Self-sabotaging.
To
and then
bring yourself back
it.
to that state that just feels normal. And like we were talking about the other day, your familiar zone and your unfamiliar zone. It's not comfort or uncomfort. It's all uncomfortable.
It's all uncomfortable, dude.
I have not been comfortable in fucking decades. You know?
Yeah. It hurts.
Yeah, it all hurts. Growth hurts. Not growing hurts. Staying stuck hurts. But I am always seeking out the unfamiliar zone. Yeah. And how do I step into that? Because that's where growth happens, and it is uncomfortable. But staying in the familiar zone, oh my God, that to me is scarier than facing the fear of the unknown. So, how do we relate this? We were talking about earlier that, like, it's possible, theoretically, hypothetically, that a lot of tattooers deal with trauma. That It might have been something that somehow attracted them to tattooing in some way. Again, it's not right, wrong, good, bad. It's just,
No.
I mean, you brought up ADHD. I meet with hundreds of tattooers every year to talk about money, and I don't think there's been a single one of them that hasn't told me that they have ADHD. Like every single one of them tells me that, or that they think they have it, and that impacts your ability to manage money. It impacts your ability to manage relationships. I probably have some element of it myself. How does ADHD and trauma, like, how are they related?
Well, tuning out, right? Like, tuning out is a big thing. And I think Gabor Mate, actually, he's kind of the godfather of, like, trauma-informed kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And his story is pretty powerful. So trauma isn't just what happens to you. It's also what doesn't happen for you, like being neglected and that kind of thing, too.
Yeah.
So in his story, he was raised in Hungary during World War II, and he was an infant. And his mom had to give him away when he was like, I don't know, less than a year old to some stranger for a couple weeks while his mom like fled to survive.
Wow.
And he like attributes that to his ADHD because he was abandoned by his mother, and so he learned to tune out. And you know, and another symptom of ADHD is like talking over people before you lose your thought, that kind of thing, you know?
Right.
That's another symptom of it. And so his whole workaholism, but he didn't get diagnosed with ADHD until he was 56 years old. And that's what made him kind of click and go, well, what caused this? How come I didn't know this? And am I passing this on to my children? That kind of thing. So it relates to trauma in that way because, again, just like anything else, is an adaptation. So it's a state that we adopt whenever we're even pre-memory, even pre-language.
Maybe that's why you took the methamphetamine, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they use to treat ADHD?
It is, absolutely. And in my day, we called it hyperactive. I was told I was a hyperactive child.
Right.
You know?
And then before that, they were just like, he's just a dick.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, he's not a dick. He's just hyperactive. And now it's like ADHD. It evolves. We're evolving. The world is changing.
Yeah, and we're coming up with better language to describe what's going on, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
we're having this conversation to begin with is fucking rad. So
yeah,
and it all relates to like what you're doing in the Artful Dollar course as well, which is helping people with their mindset. And it's like that's a top-down approach too. And I think trauma work is kind of like a bottom-up, so from nervous system up, because you know how the way we think creates our emotional state, and it's also works the other way, right? The way we feel creates the way we think as well. So it's kind of, that's why
I've always been a fan of somatic work.
Yeah.
And some of the exercises we do, we're like, all right, let's talk about debt and like your stress around debt. Where does that stress live in your body?
Right.
And most of the time we don't even think about the fact that there's a feeling around this particular stressor around money that is associated with a feeling in our body and our shoulders. And then I'll walk people through this exercise where I'm like, all right, what shape is that feeling?
Yeah.
What color is it? What texture is it? Is it heavy? Is it light? And you just start to get curious around that feeling. And it's interesting because everyone will give you a different answer.
Right.
And you're like, you're describing something that isn't there. And something a mentor told me a long time ago is like, feelings are not facts, but they're not fiction either.
Right, exactly.
They exist, but they're not the truth. And it's one of those things that lives in the liminal space between fact and fiction.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something I learned in the trauma course I took from Maston Kipp. And when it comes to relationships, like not just your relationship with other people, your relationship with yourself too, is that facts don't matter. What matters in like trauma coaching and that stuff is the fact of how they feel.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you can meet them there and you can validate people, and that's one of the things that makes people able to deal with their trauma is to feel safe and validated. Because that's like we were talking about, watch out for the fart jokes because that's going to come. Like that is the biological opposite of trauma is playfulness and connection. Right. So that's basically trauma is the lack of connection and the lack of the ability to be authentic, to be who you really are, to express how you really feel.
Because being authentic feels unsafe.
It's not safe. Yeah, so you have to modify your behavior. You have to suppress certain parts of yourself in order to survive. And then that becomes personality traits when you're an adult. And then it becomes mindset issues and limiting beliefs, which is all the stuff you deal with in your course, all that stuff.
In my social media content journey, I would say I started becoming a content creator, whatever that means, maybe in 2020. someone making content outside of just posting pictures of tattooing. So I've been doing it for 4 years, and there was this fear of being seen, a fear of sharing something that was authentically, I wanted to talk about this stuff. I know a lot of people don't want to talk about it, and I know it's going to be triggering, and I know that when they get triggered, we either run or we attack. Yep. And so, I had all kinds of people commenting just because I'm talking about money and tattooing, and that was like a weird thing that no one's doing. But I was like, this is my authentic self-expression. So I view social media where everyone talks about it being this fake bullshit, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, it is actually a platform where you can practice confronting those things that are keeping you from being authentic and doing it anyway.
You know what's happening there, and I'm noticing it too since I started working with you. I'm confronting myself, and that's all it is. Like all these fears that I have of negative feedback and trolls and all that stuff is really just me confronting myself ultimately, right? Like, I don't want to hear any negative feedback. Well, why? Well, because it feels dangerous to me. Well, why does it feel dangerous to me? Oh, because I was fucking beat up a lot, blah, 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 all this trauma shit, right? Like,
yeah.
So that's me. That's all me. That's a me thing. But it does create this feedback loop, and it does aid in neuroplasticity, or changing the mindset. The more I put myself out there authentically, and the more positive feedback I get from it, the more it reinforces that this behavior is safe, the more it reinforces that this behavior is good. And I can actually finally, after 50 years of walking this earth, I can finally just express myself. And, and
how does that feel?
It feels like, I don't know, like a burden's being lifted. Like we can go to a somatic experience. I'm feeling warmth in my
kind of like you're just letting out a big fart, right?
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah, it's like it's a big
you've been
release.
Holding it in.
It's a big release in my lower chakra.
It's like you were holding in a fart for 50 years and you didn't even realize you were holding it in. Yeah. And then you just let it out.
Yeah. Told you I was changing my diapers before we got on here, man.
Every time I'm late for a call, James is like, oh, you're changing your diapers? I'm like, yes, James. Changing my fucking diapers.
Yeah, old man Ryan.
And so what's interesting is, so we have Nadine, who is a trauma-informed money coach.
Yeah.
She has a great podcast, the Money Healing Podcast. Yep. So check it out. Anyone that is resonating with this stuff, she's amazing. Yeah. She comes and does regular lessons in the Artful Dollar course, and that's where you met her, and then the two of you clicked. So I don't know, share a little bit about those conversations, because I talk to her all the time, but yeah.
She's like my biggest cheerleader right now. She's like, go, be a coach, hurry up. Like, what are you waiting for? This is your invitation. You got this. You don't need any permission. If you need to, she even ordained me as a trauma coach. She's like, if you need me to ordain you in the name of the Father, Son, and the trauma coach, you go get him.
That's funny.
No, she's fucking awesome. And I've done a couple of one-on-one sessions with her too, because there is a lot of trauma around money. It's one of the things that I deal with too, which is, because being raised super poor, and the way I watched my parents react about them dealing with money is how I learned to react as well.
Yeah.
Right? Because kids learn more about watching their parents than listening to them. I got told no a lot when I wanted to do something. I wanted to play sports. I was always a no. And so, I was trained with this sense of lack. That's how life is. You start from a place of lack, and then you try to get shit to survive, and you don't always get shit. Most of the time it's no.
And so how did those experiences of hearing no and growing up in lack, how does that manifest as an adult, as a tattooer, as a business?
Oh, easy. That's easy. When I had money as a tattooer, I'd go and spend it all. And make me feel like methamphetamine made me feel like a king for a minute. And then
it also made you feel broke again.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we are kind of addicted to that feeling.
Yeah.
Even though we don't want to be.
No.
It's this weird subconscious
It's one of I have your voice in my head whenever I'm like about to buy shit I don't need. I'm like, don't buy shit I don't need. Oh, okay. Thanks, Ryan. Really, because and here's the deal. So I'm trying again. I'm after this kind of sense of connection, this sense of autonomy and power. Right. That's what that like buying shit you don't need kind of thing does for a moment, and then it
By the way,
creates
I want people to buy shit they don't need. I just don't want them to buy it at the cost of their future.
Well, that's fair. That is a good.
I buy shit I don't need all the time. I
what
just
money-
don't want to do that and rob my 80-year-old self of being able to like pay his bills and.
Thank you. See, that's why you're the financial advisor. No, that's true. So, but you kind of budget for that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you kind of have that whole system in place, and that's one of the things that you account for. Is like, here's my fuck it money. This
My
is
fuck
great.
it bucket.
Yeah, fuck it bucket. So it created this cycle, and in order to like kind of deal with that, one of the things I had to do is kind of trace what triggers that, and it's this sense of needing connection and wanting a sense of autonomy and kind of power. So I need to find that somewhere else from a more like natural place. And so meditation is a good thing. Going for walks, kind of regulating my own nervous system, in these different ways. So I can get that sense of connection, not just to other people, but to my environment, to the universe,
And
to
I
my
feel
higher
like
self.
doing those things, doing the meditation, doing the walks, doing the grounding work, I feel like for me, my experience, it's not that it stops some of the urges to buy shit I don't need or act out in some way that's not healthy for me. But what it does is it creates a little bit of space between where I'm like, ooh, I'm going to put that thing in the Amazon shopping cart, and then but I'm not checking out. I'm like, oh, actually, you know what? Let me just leave it there. I don't need to act on this right away. Whereas I used to just, if I wanted, I bought it. If I had the money, the minute I made money, made $500 tattooing, it's like, I don't even know what I wanted. I just would inevitably find it gone, and it would like disappear.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it went. But then I got a little bit of space from practicing these things that I could think on, and I'm like, actually, maybe there's a better thing to do here.
That could be the reprogramming, the neuroplasticity of where the autonomy and the sense of power comes from. Is like, because when I do that, when I put it in my wish list, but don't buy it, then I attaboy myself, like, good job not doing that. And then I get that kind of sense of autonomy. That's where my power is like, okay, give that like 48 hours. If you still want it and you can afford it, it's not going to fuck up your financial system, then buy it. Right.
I used to play games too with saving and investing money.
Yeah.
Where it'd be like, if I want to buy something that's over $100, I was playing this game for a while. I don't do it anymore, but I was like, if I want to buy, if it's over $100, I have to also invest that same amount of money in the stock market.
I like that.
That was a game I was doing for a while. I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah.
And it definitely helped me grow my investments. That's for sure. And
That's
I did it. It was like, oh shit, this is $250. Well, I want it. But if I buy it, I have to also invest $250. Ooh, do I really want it that bad? And it's like, yeah, I kind of do. Okay, and I'll do it, And a lot of the time, I wouldn't do it. I'd be like, that's not how the game goes. So I like to play games with money.
Yeah.
I view money as a big game.
There's that playfulness, right? It kind of like counterbalances the trauma that I love gaming. I'm a gamer too. And that's kind of, once I made that connection in your course, it's like, oh, I can make money in a game really easily. Why can't I do that in real life? Well,
right. You play Grand Theft Auto, you're like, I'm a millionaire in Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
The principles are like the same.
Right.
Like you buy low, you sell high. You build this skill, and then you move this here, and then you do this, and more money comes in and less money goes out. Like they're all like the same principles, but for some reason we're good at it in the game, and we are bad at it in real life. And when you switch that mindset over from one to the other, it starts to feel like, ooh, there's a game being played.
Like you say, well, what does it take? And it's easier to because it feels safer. Maybe there's like,
it feels safer, right? There's less trauma.
Right. So you can disassociate more, and it's like this character on a screen rather than, ooh, like if I take risks or if I do what it takes in real life, then I'm gonna outshine people, and people will see me, and then like, oh God, they'll know who I am really, and
we just had that lesson. Were you in the lesson that we had this morning? If you've been enjoying this episode or found my podcast helpful and you think other people would benefit from listening, then all I ask in return is please leave a quick review or subscribe. It'll take just 1 minute and it might help other tattooers and artists find this podcast and help them. So please, it would mean the world to me and it might make a difference for someone else. Thanks.
No.
It's in the marketing class, but I bring these mindset lessons in, and we did this exercise on how much money do you really want to make, and then reverse engineering the version of you that makes that amount of money, and went through this whole exercise on it. But it was interesting when we're going through this, like where does it get sticky? Like if you were to make $5,000 a month, does that feel weird? If you made $10,000 a month, if you made 20, if you made 50,
yeah, where does it get weird?
Where are you like, fuck no? And then, like, why are you like, fuck no?
Wow. Yeah, I love
why,
that.
You know, so where does it get? And then eventually it's just 70, 80, 100,000 a month. You're like, that's just foggy. It's not even sticky. It just, but there's like a number where it's almost like bothers you to even say that you want to make that amount of money. And then you explore, like, why does that bother me? And one of the things that was coming up for people was saying they were worried about what their friend circle would think of them if they were to make a tremendous amount of money.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So if someone is really your friend, are they going to judge you for being successful? Are they going to judge you negatively? And a rule that I have personally when it comes to my friend circle is if you're not rooting for me winning at all levels in my life, you're not my friend. Period.
Yeah. Right.
That's it. If I can't call you up and say, like, I just made the most money that I've ever made in a single day, and I'm fucking pumped, and you're not jumping. Nadine's that person for me, by the way. I call Nadine up. She fucking flips a lid anytime I'm hitting a business goal or this. Yeah. And to have that person that's so fucking pumped, because in that moment, you just want to share with someone that's going to share your excitement.
Right.
And if the friends that you have, if you feel like you couldn't go to them and be like, I just made $50,000 in a day. I'm excited, and they're not going to be excited for you.
Right.
Is that person really your friend?
Right.
Like, it's an interesting thing. I'm not saying they're not. I'm imposing it like a question for anyone listening to.
Right. No, because it's something to ponder.
Yeah.
And like, I guess the only way to find out would be to experiment with that and make 50 grand.
Or lie to them. You can lie.
Or just tell them you did, huh?
You can just start telling lies to everyone around you and see what happens. I'm not recommending you do that, but I'm just in the realm of possibility.
Or see how many friends you make all of a sudden.
Right, yeah. See how many friends you make when you start saying, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like all of a sudden,
how many people want to start dating you all of a sudden?
Look, gold diggers. Let's go.
Yeah. So it's like that. It's like I don't want to surround myself with people that only want to hang out with me because I make a certain amount of money. Yeah. But I also don't want to surround myself with people that are going to judge me if I started making a certain amount of money. Absolutely. And, you know, it's our primate mammalian instinct, like, that we're born with, of, like, wanting these attachments and these connections with people. Wanting to belong.
Yeah, we need to. It's not just a desire. It's like it's a biological imperative for us as a species.
Because if you were exiled or you were acting weird or being weird, you were exiled and that was a death sentence.
It's a death sentence. And when we're first born, if we don't have these attachments to our providers, like our parents or whoever, the tribe or whatever, then we die. Like infants, we're born not developed. That is...
You weren't born developed?
No. No, not me. Yeah.
No, I was. No.
Well, damn it.
I came out like this, tattoos and all, man.
Your mom, never mind. My mind went into the gutter. I was going to talk about, like, the size of genitalia. We're not going to go there, though.
We'll keep that in, but that's
Uncle Cussy is got to, like, stay calm.
Stay down. Bad.
Bad, James. Bad. I think at the shop where I work at, they've been like, HR, James. HR, dude.
we do that all the time at the Artful Dollar. Like, our texts, our WhatsApp groups with, like, the whole team.
Yeah.
The COO, she's like, Ryan.
Yeah.
You can't. And our lawyer was like, basically, here's the rule when it comes to what you can say and can't say around work is if you wouldn't say it in an elevator, don't say it at work.
I like that.
I was like, that's smart.
That is really smart, dude.
That was what my lawyer told me. Yeah. And then one time I told one of the people working for us, I was like, if you don't hit this goal, I'm going to cut off my genitalia and mail it to your door. And then the COO was like, Ryan, you can't say that.
Yeah,
I was like,
HR, dude.
We were having a good. I was like, when you work with a small team, you can fuck around like that, and you can.
Right.
But then I'm like, ooh, if I want to have a bigger company, I have 20, 30, 50 employees at some point, I probably can't say things like that.
No,
if it can't say it in an elevator, I'm saying it on a podcast. But
yeah. This is the internet's elevator. Yeah.
I said something on the last episode, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to get emails or something or DMs about that I said that. And it's like, all right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are you ready to get canceled? Like, let's go.
Right. This podcast is only 30 episodes in.
Yeah.
Already getting canceled. Yeah, that's a fear. I feel like that's just a thing that, one, I think everyone has to take full responsibility for everything they say.
Yeah.
Like, if you said it, you said it. And people are going to perceive it however they perceive it. And while it's not your job to manage how what you say gets perceived by other people, I always admire people that still take responsibility for how it landed with other people, even if it's not how they meant for it to land.
Right.
And so on the day that I get called out or canceled for something, I will own it, and I'll be like, hey, it really wasn't my intention, and I'm sorry that it landed for you that way. And I'm going to consider that in the future because it's not how I want to show up and come out.
And that's very awesome and compassionate. That's really what it is. It's like, hey, I'm not here trying to make people feel triggered or get all pissed off. You'll know when I'm trying to piss you off, but you know, because I'll go from victim to warrior in a second, like we talked about before we started. Like, you know, oh, you think I'm too sensitive? Well, fuck you. Come at me, bro. Like,
so that's the other thing is like, in especially a citizen tattooing, it's like I'm a very sensitive creature. I always when I was a little kid, I used to think that was my weak. I used to think I was weak, because I was so sensitive. I was emotional. Like, little things would make me cry, and I just felt awkward about it and weird. Later in life, especially as an artist, you realize, oh, that's your superpower. Yeah. That you are sensitive. You see the world in a light from a perspective that's a little bit more vibrant, a little bit richer, but also maybe a little bit more sharp and scary. Right. And that comes through in your art. So it's this superpower, but it's also can be an Achilles heel. But then there's this like really hardcore tough guy, like toxic masculine vibe archetype in tattooing that is like, there's no trauma, you fucking pussy, you know? Yeah. And I can't wait for that to die out and be done, because it's such fucking And like there are times where I, even in my own mind, like if I'm really honest, I will hear someone talking about trauma and I'm like, are they being a victim? Are they actually having a constructive conversation about it? And like, it takes me a minute to like, you know, I'm making my own interpretation of what's coming up. But at the end of the day, I don't want people to be afraid to talk about trauma, even if maybe they're doing it in a unskillful way, as they say in Buddhism.
It's got to start somewhere, right? Right.
It has to start somewhere. Yeah. All these conversations about race and sex and identity and trauma, some people talk about them in ways that are uninformed, and there may be a time where I talk about them in a way that's uninformed. But I'm open to learning, and if we don't have freedom to talk about them in a slightly uninformed in a way, then we won't have the freedom to grow and learn from each other. And I've had people come and say, hey Ryan, you know, the way you said that, it's actually, this is how it should be talked about. And I'm always like, thank you for telling me. Right. I didn't know. I didn't realize. I was unaware, and I appreciate you saying that, because then the other thing is people won't say something because they're afraid. Yeah. Again, trauma, boundaries, communication. Yep. And it all relates to our art, to our life, to our money, and that's why I'm interested in these things. That's why I call it the Artful Dollar. Is like, it's about that essence, that creativity, that thing that we almost can't fully put our finger on. Yeah. But we can talk around it. It's like the Tao we speak of. I was just going to say. The true Tao, You
got the Tao symbol behind you right now. Yeah. That's it. And it's the Tao that can be named is not the true Tao. Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Yep. And that's what we're talking about always, ultimately, I think. Like that thing that you can't name.
And I to reference Ram Dass again, he has this thing he says, he's like, we're all just trying to walk each other home.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
Yeah.
And we stumble and we go the wrong direction a little bit.
Right.
But I think my belief is that all human beings, we're all at some core level here to help each other, walk each other home, even if we do it in a misguided way at times, you know?
Yeah.
And then you got to have compassion for them. Have compassion.
Yeah. Because ultimately there is no other. It's all one thing, right?
Yeah. Even people that occur as like the root of all evil.
Yeah.
Like even those people.
Yeah.
I hold some personally, like I choose to hold a belief that there is some purpose for that. You could call it ignorance. You could call it unskillful behavior. You can call it being a dick, whatever you want to call it. But I like to look out at the world, and I'm not about to get into politics, but even in the political space, I try to hold a belief that while I might not agree with everything that's being said, that whatever's being said, if it leads to a breakdown or a breakthrough, either way is good. It's what's needed. It's like I'm always saying, every breakdown is necessary for the breakthrough that we're looking to have.
Right.
And so while I sometimes do get a little bit afraid of what's happening in the world of politics, geopolitics, all these things. Yeah.
You still love them though. I love humanity and its potential and its ability to dream and create and build and in tragedies support one another and help each other. I love humanity for that, and I see that in everyone. And that's where my stubbornness activates, and I think that's what's kept me alive and resilient through all the shit that I've been through in my life because of other people. You know, my ability to forgive my father. If I can forgive him for all the shit that he did to me and my sister and to my mom a little bit, no one else can hurt me. You know, my superpower, like you said, is being sensitive and stubborn in that sensitivity and that compassion. If I want to get set in my ways as I get older, that's the way I want to get set. I want to get set in my ability to see the good in everyone, even the people that my conditioned mind sees as the enemy, for lack of a more concise way to put it. You know?
Yeah, I think that's a side effect of meditation.
Yeah.
Of reading about spirituality. Like that's what enlightenment is.
Yeah.
Ultimately. And fart jokes, you know.
Fart jokes is the mantra.
It's a side effect of enlightenment.
Yes. Like when you said, yeah, if you wouldn't say it in an elevator, my immediate thought was like, well, I farted in an elevator.
What wouldn't James say in an elevator?
Yeah, totally.
So basically the rule is if James would say it in an elevator, don't say it.
Yeah. If I'm over here going... in an elevator, which I've literally done before.
Yeah.
Of course, I was drinking at the time, so that's drunk James.
The worst is if you're alone in the elevator.
Yeah.
I can get away with it, but then it stops at the next floor.
You're taking a risk. You never know who's beyond that door when it opens. Like, is there someone? Sorry, buddy.
You're like,
good luck in there.
Someone was in here before.
Yeah, totally.
They got out on the other floor.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I wish I would have thought of that. It wasn't me. He who denied it supplied it, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, man. It was great seeing you in Evergreen.
Oh, it was awesome.
In the flesh.
Yeah.
And getting the hug. I'm a big hugger.
I'm a big hugger.
I need that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's this energetic transfer that happens in the heart chakras touch each other, and there's this like real deep connection. So you doing any conventions coming up you got planned? Are you a convention person or?
Oh, I am this year. I wasn't before because I was in a touring metal band, and so I did all my traveling that way. This year I've done more conventions this year than I've done my entire tattoo career. So I went to Evergreen, and then we just did Salinas, the Ink at the Bay convention, which was awesome. And we might be doing the next Evergreen. We might be going there.
In September.
I'm
going.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So it's possible that we might be going. We got to reach out to Riley and see if we can get a booth there. But
Sweet, sweet.
Ted, the guy I work with, he's basically my work husband. He owns the shop that I work at, NorCal Tattoo.
Sure.
Him and Riley have been friends for a minute, and
Nice.
so yeah.
Cool.
And Inked Hearts is the convention that we do here in Humboldt County every year. It's actually I think we're moving locations and we're changing the month, so
Gotcha.
there's a lot of work to be done on that end. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of conventions, and I'm hoping to go to the Evergreen. And if I see you there, and if we don't get a booth, I might even just travel to come give you a hug.
Sure, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
might
game.
even do that. So.
Yeah. Well, let's ask this. So, you were saying about Nadine basically telling you are a coach.
Yeah.
As someone that has now worked professionally as a coach for years, I remember, and even when I started tattooing, there's a tremendous amount of imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something you experience with that?
I'm experiencing that every time I think about it right now. Yeah,
even being on this podcast, calling
right now, I feel it in my nervous system, like right here in my diaphragm. I'm like, oh,
so
what if I fuck up?
Something someone told me when I first started financial coaching, because I was taking courses and learning, what's the best practices and stuff. Something that they told me that really helped me is like, they're like, a lot more than some people, probably a lot of people. And so what you know about this is probably light years beyond. Do you know everything? No. But it's probably light years beyond the people that you can help and coach. And so that's it. You're just a little bit further down the path. They would say to me, they're like, think of yourself 5 years ago. Could you coach yourself 5 years ago and actually help that person?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, then you're a coach.
Ah, you son of a bitch. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. And
if you have wisdom and actions and perspectives to share right now that would have saved you 5 years ago some pain, some suffering, and given that version of you more freedom than they have now, then you're a coach.
It. Yeah, thank you, dude. That means a lot. Yeah, I needed to hear that because that imposter syndrome is a real thing, and it's as far as like the way it feels. Though I'm not you, and I learned this from you. You said something to the effect of the only people that don't have imposter syndrome are imposters. Yeah, and I love that.
Yeah, I got it from a TED Talk, which this woman goes and talks about how this weird thing with imposter syndrome, the people that experience the most imposter syndrome are actually the people that are the most qualified and like dedicated and take it seriously what they do, which is why they feel imposter syndrome, because the level of dedication and seriousness that they have is so much higher than where they're at. Or what their experience level is, but they're so dedicated, and so they're always more dedicated than where they're looking to grow. That's how you grow, right? If your dedication is here and your ability is here, well, then you're not going to grow,
right?
And
that's
so
that
they're
unfamiliar zone, right?
That's it, right between that and that, and so those are the people that experience the most imposter syndrome. And I remember feeling that hard when I first started tattooing. For the first 5 years of tattooing, I remember being 5 years into tattooing professionally at a shop. 5 years in, and I remember I did I don't know why it was this tattoo. It wasn't even my favorite. I did portrait work for a while, but I did a portrait of Frankenstein, and this shit looks good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like I'm a real tattoo artist now. I don't know why, but I remember there was one tattoo. Do you have a tattoo that was like that for you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What was it?
It was some of my, what was it? It was that alien I did. It was a recent one. I was like, oh, shit. You know
After
what I mean?
20 years, you're like, you know what?
Yeah,
I feel like maybe I'm a tattoo artist now.
Maybe I am, yeah.
Just maybe.
After 20 years, yeah. No, that's like totally. And I think it has something to do with like my skill set, kind of like there's this teeter-totter of skill set versus ability to see, right?
Sure.
And so when your skill set outweighs your ability to see, then it pops. You're like, oh, maybe I can do this. And then your ability to see kind of sometimes outweighs your skill set, and then you're like, oh, I suck.
Right.
But if you zoom out, if you zoom back, you can see that you're still steadily climbing, right? You're still steadily progressing, even though you still in the moment are fluctuating between I'm an imposter or, hey, maybe I can do this. So I can apply that to my coaching thing. Right?
I feel like that's just even hearing for anyone out there that's been tattooing a while and is like, oh wow, James decades in starts to feel, like I feel that's more common than people think. I think everyone thinks that everyone else thinks that they know what the fuck they're doing.
Right.
And they're the only one that feels like an imposter.
Yeah.
And we were talking in class the other day about zooming in on our work.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I remember about 8 years into tattooing was when I was just like tired of zooming in on my work. I was just like, I'm not benefiting from this.
Right.
I'm just beating myself up. I've been doing it for 8 years. I don't think it's actually making me a better tattoo artist. And so I'm done doing that. And I stopped doing it. And I got worse at tattooing. Now,
so I just stopped tattooing.
I started doing worse tattoos. That's all. That's all it was. But I
so
felt
odd.
better. I actually think I started doing some of the best tattoos in my life.
Yeah. Because I think that's
I was in that flow state,
Right. I had a dream last week, and I met my inner critic. And you know who he looks like? I don't know the actor's name, but he played...
Steve Buscemi.
Close. It's Baby Billy from The Righteous Gemstones. He also played
I haven't seen it.
The ghoul in Fallout series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what the ghoul in the Fallout series looks like.
Yeah,
but...
so it's that actor, but he came in and
Okay.
he was like, dude, no matter what you do, I'm watching you, dude. I'm watching you, man. And I'm like, what did I do? Like in my dream, I'm like, well, I didn't do anything. What did I do? You know what I mean? And so I woke up going, what the fuck did I do? Like, and then like talk about it right now, I still feel that. But to me, that was my inner critic, like introducing himself. Like I got him now. Like I see him in my head. And the best question is, what did I do? I didn't do anything. Right? And that's true. I didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that inner critic can get in the way of progress.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I don't think the inner critic has much redeeming value at all whatsoever, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think we are the worst judge of our own progress, of our own value.
Yeah.
I think we are the worst judge of that.
Yeah.
And actually, a book that completely changed my art and my art career, my ability to create and find that creative flow is The Artist's Way by Julia
I got
Cameron.
it.
It's on a shelf, right? And you've never read it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. Every time I bring up The Artist's Way, they're like, oh, I have that book. It's on a shelf. Never read it. I read the first page. I read the introduction. Never, that's what everyone says. Because it's a book that you don't read, you do it. And it takes 12 weeks.
It's a course.
And I did it. It's basically a course. I did it with a group of people. And so that was what helped me hold accountable. But completely, I actually did it. I did it 3 times.
Okay.
I did it over and over. It was so good, dude. Oh, fuck. It was so good. But they talk about personifying that inner critic, like draw them out, give them a shape, give them a name, give them so that you can like kind of identify that it's not you.
Yeah.
It's not real. It's this weird inner critic person that's just like talking shit.
Yeah, it's a personification.
They're like a
trauma.
backseat driver. They're just telling you. They're like the guy watching the football game from the couch, being like, "Ah, you should have fucking caught the what the fuck, dude! You didn't even see him over there."
Yeah,
and you're just like, "Bro, I'm the one fucking doing it.
That was
You're
me.
just on the fucking couch."
That was totally me in Hawaii watching surfers. I've never surfed in my life. Of course, I'm an expert.
Yeah. You're like, you fucking idiot.
Oh, dude, yeah.
You don't know what you're doing, you fucking
pussy.
fucking pussy, fucking asshole.
You could have had that.
You could have had that, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you feel powerful, right?
It does. And I think the inner critic comes from, it's a voice of my dad. You know, it's a trauma thing. We do this kind of work in the Artful Dollar, and it's trauma work, really. You're literally meeting that part of yourself, giving that part grace and love, thanking it, and telling it to get in the passenger seat that it's not driving anymore. Like, I'll call on you when I need you. I may never call on you, but thank you. Thank you for your service.
Sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. You served me at one point.
Yeah.
And I no longer need you, but I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm hearing.
You can stay in the back seat.
Yeah.
And if you keep it up, I'll put you in the trunk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I have to run.
Yeah.
But, dude, this was fucking so much fun.
Yeah, dude.
I am honored to have you as a friend, as a client, as a podcast guest.
Likewise.
You were so many things for me in my life. And where can people find you on Instagram if they want to check out If someone needs a tattoo or a trauma coach.
Or coach, one-on-one coaching. I'm going to be offering a workshop soon for tattoo artists to
sick.
learn what trauma is, and I'm getting that together right now. I just started a podcast called Fire of Truth. I just launched it yesterday.
Sweet. Fire of Truth.
Fire of Truth.
We'll drop a link in the bio. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
But if you want to find me on any social media, go to CaptainKerrArt.com. That's my website.
It's Captain Kerr.
Correct. Yeah, CaptainKerrArt.com, and you'll see all my social links there.
Cool.
You can email me, learn a little bit about me. I'm going to update it with the podcast. I have a podcast page in development there. This is all kind of like in creation right now. So,
dude, I have been building the plane as I've been flying it for fucking 37 years.
Building the plane as I've been flying it. That's okay.
That's how you get shit done. People that are like, no, let me plan it all out and then I'll do it. I don't know. I know people like that. I know people like that have actually accomplished a lot. It's just not my style.
That's not how it works for me either. I just have to go and just build it as you go. I love it. That's how I'm going to look at it too. Dude, thank you for having me here, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure. Be well. Talk to you soon. I'll see you soon.
Alrighty, brother.
All right, later.
Late.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, I just want to prompt that if you got some value out of this conversation, please go and leave us a rating and a review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you saw this podcast. It really helps me out, and it really helps other people to find this podcast. I want more people to have these types of conversations around money so that we can all be more free and at ease and abundant and able to create the lives that we really want to live. So please share this and rate and review. Appreciate it. Thanks.